This short episode will cover the brief reign of 3 years of Count Baldwin VI of Flanders and the subsequent Battle of Cassel. Not the one in Germany, the one in France. For some recap, Hermann of Mons, the Count of Hainaut, had died in 1049, putting an end to the struggle with Baldwin V of Flanders, who then forced Hermann's widow Richhild to marry his son Baldwin, who would then inherit Flanders after Baldwin V's death and Hainaut as well. Baldwin V had died in 1067, where he had all the relics of the saints in Flanders brought to him to be witnesses to the partition of his land and be there for his death. His son Baldwin VI was to inherit just about everything, leaving out his brother Robert I, who swore to uphold this, but would not continue to do so later. As Baldwin VI had married Richhild, becoming the Count of Flanders and Hainaut, to secure his own dynasty's possession of these counties, he had her children from Hermann of Mons delegitimized, and they joined holy orders, a daughter becoming a nun, and a son becoming the Bishop of Chalon-sur-Marne. Richhild had brought the personal possessions in Hainaut that she had, but not all of them. Much of the other land was held from the emperor as a fief, so she and her husband bought these lands from the empire. Aleds were not as common in the north of Gaul as they were in the south, just because of how land possession typically worked in those areas, and having land as a fief could be good for security, and the one subjecting his land in fief to someone else could receive a payment in exchange. Here, Baldwin and Richhild did the opposite by buying the other fiefs in Hainaut, letting themselves be the feudal lords of it, while still being within the empire, which let them receive homage and create castellanies, essentially giving them more freedom in those areas. Baldwin VI died quickly after he became Count of Flanders, however, in 1070, which would set off a battle and permanently change the destiny of Flanders and Hainaut. Baldwin VI of Flanders, who was also Baldwin I of Hainaut, had 2 sons before he died. One was Arnulf, who would be Arnulf III of Flanders. The other was Baldwin, who was Baldwin II of Hainaut. He gave each of these their respective domains, and Arnulf was too young. He was about 15 at the time, so Robert I was supposed to be the regent, and he was supposed to swear to protect Arnulf's claim and let him rule when he became old enough. He was called Robert the Frisian because he had been the regent for his stepson in the Netherlands, but now was working in Flanders. When Robert, who had done homage once to Arnulf III when Baldwin VI was still alive, began to rile up the nobles in the county, Arnulf contacted his brother Baldwin in Hainaut and sought the help of King Philip of France, who knighted him before the Battle of Cassel had begun. When Saint Adele, wife of Baldwin V and grandmother of Arnulf III, still alive, don't forget, people in convents and monasteries are not shut off to the world, they do know what's going on. When she learned that this son of hers, Robert, was about to attack her grandson, she also called to Philip I for help against Robert, and Philip was able to muster up William Fitzosborne and 10 of his knights, which William Fitzosborne seems to maybe have been a lover of Richhild, maybe just a political interest. Some sources have her actually as his wife, but we don't know. He showed up in the Battle of Cassel and promptly died with all of his men. Eustache II and III from Boulogne, who we've already talked about on this channel, were there to support Arnulf, but it wasn't enough. And during the battle, ironically enough, Robert was captured, and so was Richhild, so they had to do a prisoner exchange during the battle, and afterwards they both went back in and sides kept on fighting. But then Arnulf was killed by one of his liegemen named Gerbad, and Gerbad felt so bad that he went to Rome to receive absolution from the Pope, St. Gregory VII, who had a sort of interesting plan. He decided to get a cook and bring him outside, and bring Gerbad outside as well. And Pope Gregory said that he would cut off Gerbad's hands only if they trembled. And when he brought him outside, his hands did not tremble, so he let him not have his hands cut off. But he was still sent to the abbot of Cluny, where he became a good monk, believe it or not. Robert went out with Arnulf's death and Baldwin's inability to challenge him and became Count of Flanders, but was not able to secure Hainaut, where more of Arnulf's support and forces were. These went to Arnulf's brother Baldwin, who would be Baldwin II of Hainaut, making another rift in the Flanders family tree, the other branch being from Robert, which will be discussed at a much later date, if it is.